And welcome to Hero Power. I am your host, Avantes, and as always, I am joined by my co-hosts, Zeroshio
Greetings, fam.
and Versika.
What's up? I've got an ice cream headache from where I ate my ice cream during the intro, where I finished it off anyway.
Just sitting there shoveling it in.
I was. I'm like, no one's watching. How fast can I eat this?
Oh, well, this is episode 97, and we've got a huge show lined up for you. A lot to talk about this week. But first, Zeroshio.
But first? Oh, okay.
Zeroshio, tell us a little bit about our friends at Viforce.
All right. If you're new to the show, and I know we have a lot of new listeners, we've been out reaching out and getting more follows, more listeners, more people are subbing to us as a Twitch affiliate. So I just want to point everybody to ViforceGaming.com. They build the best, most cost-effective custom gaming PCs. We've priced everywhere. You're not going to get a better deal or better customer service. Plus, they also have 6 months, same as cash financing. If you go ahead and go to their website today and apply. So again, go to ViforceGaming.com, or you can go to HeroPowerHS.com, our website. Click on the Viforce link and get your quote today.
All right. So we actually did get an email this week. So it was from our friend Ducharmo. It says, Hero Power, just have a question for you guys to mull over. With the recent hatred of Druid and its power compared to other classes, do you guys think that maybe allowing players to ban one class on ladder that they would never run into would make this better? So, Versika, what are your thoughts?
I actually love that idea, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Zeroshio, you're just shaking your head.
Well, and it's the simple reason is they, as hard as they try, and I do believe that they're trying, I don't think they know how to balance the meta.
And we're going to talk more in depth about that here in a few minutes.
Right. I'm just saying I don't think they know how, and I think it's a constant. They can't get ahead of it, so everything they're doing is reactionary. So there's always going to be a deck that is going to be more powerful than everything else, and that's always going to be the deck that people gravitate towards, because right now the only incentive in Hearthstone outside of competing in a tournament is to get legend. So people want to grind the ladder with the best deck possible, and so they're kind of a victim of their own creation.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
I mean, by allowing users to ban a class in ladder is counterintuitive to what their current ranking system rewards. So I don't think it. I don't think it will happen, because I don't think it can realistically happen.
Gotcha. Zeroshio?
I want to talk about this more fully in our main topic tonight, but basically my answer to this is no, I don't think they should. And the main reason is every rotation, every set in the meta, whether it's a new set coming out or the new rotation like Year of the Mammoth, Year of the Kraken, when those come out, you always have the top tier deck, whether it's Pirate Warrior or it's Evolved Shaman or it's just Druid. Right now it's just Druid. Everybody's going to be playing that deck. So if they did that, they might as well just say for that whole set of 30 days or that month or month and a half, we're just not going to let anybody play Druid on the ladder at all, because everybody's just going to ban Druid or everybody's just going to ban Shaman. It'll just be like that class doesn't exist for a large chunk of time, and that's just not fun. And then all that does is makes everybody else go, well, let me find the second most powerful deck and flood the ladder with that, and then you got a choice to ban a class you lose to or ban another class you lose to, and that's not a healthy way to do it. The healthy way, in my opinion, and we'll talk more on this, is to find a way to beat the meta.
Okay, cool. Well, there you go, Ducharmo. Hope that answers your question. We also got a 5-star iTunes review from Apex Predator. And he says, title of this review is Great Listen. He says, met these guys at DreamHack Atlanta. I did not know what to think at first, but they loaded me with their business cards. So I decided to check them out. I've been really enjoying it so far, even though they would not split some fries. Kappa, Apex Predator. Well, for that, first of all, thank you for the review. Second of all, 2 out of the 3 of us are fat guys. Get your own fries.
Yeah, I remember this situation very fondly, and I believe I said, fat guys don't share any food. Ever.
So, all right. Well, that brings us into this week's discussion topics. And like I said, we've got a lot to cover here, so we're going to jump right into it. Today, they announced a new special event called the Oktoberbrawl. Now, what this is in conjunction with your Twitch Prime account, you will be able to access a special card back. Basically, you choose a side, and you'll get a card back that's related to your team, kind of. Zerosho, do you want to talk a little more in depth?
Yeah, we talked about some of the data mined information. Well, not so much data mined. When the new patch hit, there were 2 new card backs that came out that said going to be with a special promotion. And that's all it said. So we kind of speculated that would probably be something with Twitch Prime. And basically what it is, if you have Twitch Prime, you get these 2 different card backs. They're pretty cool looking. One is a black border on a purple background. The other one's a white border on a purple background. Very Naru-esque kind of from, if you know your World of Warcraft lore. And what this is it's Team Void and Team Light. Team Void consists of Dog, Tice, and Jackie Chan, and Team Light consists of Kriparian, Reynad, and Ali Straza. What's going to happen is all of these players are going to get fresh accounts, and they can't buy any packs, and they can only do quests to gain gold to buy packs, and they can only do the play with your friends, the 80 gold quest. They can only do with the other teammates on the team. The other way they get cards is by you playing on the ladder with your card back. You can choose the Team Void or Team Light. For every for all the wins you get, it's going to tally up kind of like a score for them, and they're going to get packs based on the number of total wins with everybody that played with that card back. So you have to be a Twitch Prime subscriber, and you also will have to use this card back on the ladder. So it's kind of neat. It's a really neat way to kind of partner up with Twitch as well as get people to play on the ladder. And the weekend, they have like special weekends. We have the link in the show notes if you want to see the blog on the Play Hearthstone website. But each week has a different theme. September 11th through 15th, it's going to be Wild Week. Then they have Kraken Week for September 18th through 22nd, Mammoth Week, September 25th through 29th, and Adventure Week, October 2nd through 6th. It's going to be pretty neat, the formats, and it's kind of like a new style of playing that we'll be able to see them on play on their respective streams.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to tuning in and watching it unfold. So, anything you want to add to this, Versika? Have you picked a team yet?
Well, I'm picking a team, but not because it's going to win, because I'm going to tell you who's going to win. Team Void's going to win, because Team Void's card back is, in my opinion, a much better designed card back than Team Light. And I think Tice has both Tice and Jackie Chan have tremendous followings. And I think that combined with the card back, they're just going to get more packs. It's strictly going to be a numbers game.
Yeah, it's
always been, quote, cool to be on the dark side of stuff. So I think more people are going to gravitate towards that. I'm going to pick Team Light because I personally like the card back, and I'm a huge fan of Ali Straza, so that's who I'm going to be supporting. So.
Yeah.
So shocker, I disagree with Versika because I want to root for Team Void because I'm a big fan of Dog, Tice, and I like Jackie Chan. I don't really want to root for Team Light because Kripparrian and Raydad aren't really my favorite streamers. But
that's what I want to talk about. I don't think the teams are split very well.
I think they should put Kripparrian and Raydad on opposite teams.
I agree. I think they should have traded out Kripparrian for Tice, and it been Tice, Raynad, and Ali Straza versus Dog, Kripparrian, and Jackie Chan. That just seems more balanced to me. But
my favorite card back is the light card back because I think that looks so good, and I think it's going to look better in play than the void card back is.
Have you seen them animated?
Yes, and I know the void's very shiny, but I don't know. For some reason, the dark center and the light outside just appeals to me.
There's something about the Hearthstone center of the light card that's off. It doesn't seem to fit with the rest of the card. It's something about it, just, I don't know, it's almost like it's two-dimensional compared to the rest of the card being three-dimensional. It's just something about it just doesn't look as appealing.
I'm more of a white chocolate kind of guy anyways, so
that's what it is.
All right, so that's going to bring us to our big topic this week, and probably our this is going to take up the chunk of time for the show this week. A few weeks ago, or I guess about a week ago, Ben Brode had announced they were talking about looking into changes for the Druid class. And nobody knew what. It was just that they were talking about it. And then it hit. There was a update yesterday. They announced 9.1 balance changes, which are coming. And it's been pretty it's been pretty polarizing for the Hearthstone community. A lot of people really upset. A lot of people are completely fine with it and think there were much needed nerfs. So let's talk about the nerfs. We're going to talk about them one at a time.
Let's leave Druid for last.
All right, we'll leave Druid for last.
Just because that's where the most discussion is going to happen.
Yeah.
So let's talk to the three that aren't Druid.
Yeah.
And then we'll go back.
So let's start with we'll just start in the top left of this diagram. Murloc War Leader. So the change to Murloc War Leader is, instead of it giving +2/+1 to all Murlocs, to all your Murlocs, it's now just going to give +2 attack. Remaining the same casting cost, remaining the same attack and health, none of that changed. All they did was drop off the +1 health on this. So I think we've all pretty much talked about it, and this is kind of in relation to that event where when you do an AoE and it kills the war leader, anything else that was buffed lives.
Kind of.
If it
basically, it evens out the health.
It's a weird health buff.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing where if you trade in Finja and War Leader gets pulled, it'll be at 1 health because it takes the damage and then gets healed for 1. There's also weird combos where if you have a War Leader and a bunch of Murlocs on and you do the Wild Pyromancer equality combo, it doesn't wipe your board because your other Murlocs aside from your War Leader become 2 health, so it knocks them down to 1 health. Then the War Leader dies and they stay at 1 health. So it really kind of clears up a lot of that confusion, and it also increases the value of, is it the Oracle that gives Murlocs +2 health?
Yes.
Not Coldlight Oracle.
No.
Yeah. Or Seer. Coldlight Seer.
Coldlight Seer.
The Coldlight Seer gives +2 health to all your Murlocs. So you might start seeing that be put in decks more often, at least a one-off. I think this is a good change. I think it's solid. It kind of it doesn't break Paladin, but it definitely makes Paladin choose whether they want to put the Murloc package in or go with more value-oriented minions that have Divine Shield, Taunt, things like that.
Yeah. Versika, what are your thoughts on War Leader?
I've always thought War Leader was too powerful. A 3/3 for 3 with what it did to the other Murlocs when there were just a handful of Murlocs that in themselves weren't great cards. it was okay. But now you've got Murlocs with interesting abilities that actually, I don't want to say the others didn't matter, but like the new Murlocs, you don't see very many of the classic Murlocs in with them. It's almost all expansion Murlocs, and not really a lot from the base set or the classic set. So I felt like as each expansion came out, War Leader's value became that much greater. And I think this falls in line with that. This card is here, and so this neat idea we had for this Murloc over here, we can't do that because Murloc War Leader is going to break it.
Yeah.
I think this kind of puts that in check. So it still allows Murlocs to get beaten by Consecrates or by Lightning Storms or
So
I think it.
Go ahead, finish.
No, I'm just saying I think it keeps it in check because now you can add interesting abilities to the Murlocs without having to worry about making them overpowered, and you remove strange interactions like the Finja interaction. You don't have to worry about those.
So
and Boyd brings up an interesting point in chat. Confirmed Versika hates Murlocs.
Yeah, but it's see, Murloc War Leader being an epic felt like that was right for what it did. Now, okay, it's a 3-mana 3/3 that gives +2, so it's an upgraded version of
Savage Roar for Murlocs.
Yeah, kind of. But I've always, ever since Hearthstone came out, or gosh, I guess even since it was in beta, I've always thought of Murlocs like kobolds from Magic the Gathering. Those of us that have played for years remember the kobolds. Even then, the kobolds had a Taskmaster, which granted them plus attack, and they had a Drill Sergeant, which granted them plus defense. But they never had one that gave both.
That's right.
And now this feels like it comes more in line with that kind of theme. So I think I like this change. I think it works. And I love Murlocs, just for the record.
With this change, do you think that War Leaders will go down to a 1 of in a deck and then a seer being put in its place as the other 1 of?
Probably not, because Murlocs are still going to be an aggro class.
Right.
Yeah, it's true.
So
if anything, they'll trade out a different Murloc.
Yeah. So, okay, the next change was Hex. And the only change here is it went from 3 mana to 4 mana, which kind of brings it in line with Polymorph.
Yes.
It absolutely brings it in line with Polymorph.
It does.
So, Versika, we're going to start with you on this change since you're our shaman guy. So, what are your thoughts?
The change in mana cost actually brings it, like we said, brings it in line with Polymorph. I'm completely all right with that. And I talked a little bit about this in our Facebook group. What worries me is the language they used in describing why they nerfed it to begin with. And that was that they felt like, and I'm paraphrasing, but in a nutshell, they felt like Shaman didn't have any real strengths, but it didn't have any real weaknesses. And so they didn't want to give it the ability to silence and do something else at the same time. And I'm just like, no, wait a minute. Earthshock has been a silence. It was a silence in WoW. It's been a silence since the set came out. So it's actually one of 3 classes that can really silence. Polymorph is in effect a silence. So Mage has 1. Shaman had 2. And then Priest has several. And then you've got the 2 minions, the 2 neutral minions that silence. But they said that they wanted silence to be more of a priest thing. But what concerned me about that was that they went ahead and took a nerf stance on a class that they said didn't have a distinct disadvantage or an advantage. So you're going to go after giving it a disadvantage first. That, to me, that says, number one, they have zero idea about Shaman identity. In fact, I even went as far as to say the only identity they've ever tried to give Shaman was pushing really crappy Murlocs onto Shaman. Except for Knights of the Frozen Throne, they did try to give them sort of that ice, trying to work around the ice thing. But even then, compared to what they gave the other classes, it's like Warlock and discarding. It's like you're trying to push this on, but it's just too slow. You can't balance the meta over here to make this viable. So until you can figure out how to balance the meta, stop trying to push an identity onto a class that you don't really know where you want to take to begin with. And I do kind of feel like Warlock kind of fits in that boat. Not as much, because you definitely, spending your life to have effects. I get that, and that's kind of where they're at. They just haven't really expanded on that. They've got stuck on this discard segue over here that's just kind of off in the thing. But I feel like this Hex is more bringing it in line with what's going to come out next. It doesn't really have much to do with Knights of the Frozen Throne. It has more to do with the expansion that we're probably going to see in December. So once again, it's like, why do this now? And what that tells me is that they've been looking at Hex for a while, and they just went ahead and slipped it in this one. It's kind of like when we were paying attention to the Boston bombing, and Congress kind of slid that net neutrality thing through on us. It's like a Kansas City shuffle. We're going to have this over here, so you're not going to pay attention to this over here. But I don't think that Hex affects anything now. I think it'll come in later, because I have a feeling this next set for Shaman is going to be more overloaded cards, and you're going to spend more time in overload without a way to clear the overload. So that one extra on Hex is going to be really important. It's not important now, but I have a feeling it will be in the next expansion.
And you're muted.
Yeah. Thoughts, Zeroshio?
I pretty much parrot what Razakus says. I actually think this is a pretty good nerf if they feel they need to nerf cards to be more in line with each other. I know there's a big argument that a lot of people say, well, the frog has taunt, so that's why it's 1 mana less than polymorph. But polymorph gives you a 1/1, which can attack the next turn. So it can be argued either direction. I think if they felt they needed to nerf this for one reason or another, this is the best nerf for Hex. But like Razakus, I'm not really sure this card needed to be nerfed. It's not really that relevant in the meta right now, with Devolve kind of being like a board polymorph. I don't see Hex being played that often. With Big Easy Priest and Big Easy Druid, it's coming into meta a little bit more now, but usually just a one-of.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so that brings us to the next and probably the most polarizing card on this list.
Yeah.
And that is the Fiery Windaxe got the nerf bat. And by that, I mean it went from 2 mana to 3 mana.
Yes.
Now, a lot of people are saying this is it. It's the end of Warrior. We might as well just never play it again. They're never going to be any good anymore. Blah, 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 blah. The community's freaking out, as they normally do. A lot of more level-headed people have said this may not be as big of an issue as people are making it out to be. Yes, it's going to slow down Warrior in the early game a little bit, but it's probably still going to be played, even at 3. Zeroshio, what are your thoughts?
The biggest argument for those that don't like this nerf is that this is now the worst 3-cost weapon in the game. And I can't necessarily agree with it. There's a lot of comparisons to 3-cost weapons that are in Wild. A lot of Blizzard's focus is on Standard, though. So I really only want to, just for this discussion, focus on Standard, because that's really the most competitive format right now. Yes, other classes have 3 mana, 3/2 weapons that have effects on them. Like Hunter has the bow that gets extra Eagle Horn bow that gets extra durability when their traps are popped. You have the Rallying Blade that gives +1 to your Divine Shield minions, and this is a 3 mana 3/2 blank weapon. On paper, yes, it's the worst 3 mana 3/2 weapon in the game. The thing you have to focus on though is Warrior has so many cards in its class that fetch weapons, buff weapons, add durability to weapons. There's so many tools to actually make that vanilla 3-mana 3/2 weapon better than the other classes 3-mana 3/2 weapons, because it just has a plethora of tools. Now, is Weapon Warrior relevant in the meta right now? No. But maybe it could be. Maybe the new set's going to have more weapon-based stuff for Warrior. And maybe they're going to have a 2-mana weapon that's like a 2-mana 2/2 with better benefits. We'll just have to see. But I think this is, if they feel they need to nerf it for one reason or another, this is a good nerf for this card. Versika? I think that's what Avanti said, even though he's muted.
He's muted again. How about that?
Yeah.
So actually, my biggest problem with this is that, and we talked about this before, is they're nerfing a symptom and not the root cause. It's like, why is Fiery War Axe suddenly a huge deal when a year ago it wasn't? And we would even argue is to say a year ago we were in a more aggro meta than now. And I think it comes from, like what you said, there are too many things that buff the durability of that weapon in Warrior. So it's no longer just a 3/2. Now it's a 4/3, or it's a 5/3, or whatever, because you've got Upgrade, you've got Bloodsail Cultist, there's another
Greenskin.
Naga Corsair that gives it +1/+1. There's too many ways to make too much value out of Fiery War Axe early. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't Bloodsail Cultist 3 to cast?
Yes.
All right,
So it's
so
right
if
on
you already,
turn.
right, so if you already have a pirate on the board, or you've got the coin on turn 2, you can put it out and then buff it immediately on turn 4 or turn 3, and there you go. So now you have to choose. Now you have to choose whether you want to do it on turn 3 or turn 4. Slows it down by a turn. I think that it's the people that are going to play Weapon Warrior are still going to play Weapon Warrior. I don't know that it was. I don't know that this was the correct way to go about this nerf. I feel like right now, a faster warrior is something that, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, is actually needed to keep some of these other decks in check. So
Oh no!
by slowing that turn down, you're actually kind of hamstringing the warrior a little bit and forcing it to go down a heavily control or taunt style list. And I don't like that. I'm not an aggro player, but I don't like to be forced down a list because you can't play this way because you can't compete with what's going on. So Fiery War Axe was always really good value for what you got. No one's going to argue that. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, in Firebat's tournament last year, wasn't Fiery War Axe like the #1 ban? Like, isn't that the one that most people agreed needs to be banned?
That is correct.
Okay. So we get that it's been good for a while. I would rather see a more change of focus, change on emphasis. I would much rather see, instead of pushing this up to a 3-mana 3/2, I'd rather see, much like the War Leader change, I would rather Bloodsail Cultist add 1 extra attack, and maybe Naga Corsair add 1 extra durability, making you choose between those buffs that you give the weapon, making it more impactful when you make that decision. That way, the 3/2 base weapon that is Fiery War Axe is still very much playable on turn 2 and can still have the desired impact. Because ultimately you're using not only a card in your hand with a durability, you only get 2 uses out of it, but you're also using the health of your class as a resource. So there is strategic value in what's happening there. you just have to be a little more imaginative in how you curb the problem that's been happening, and that is that people are getting way too much value out of a 2 casting cost 3/2 weapon because of the other cards that it goes in conjunction with. And you hear people talking about how you can't cross compare classes. Well, you can't cross compare classes because Hunter doesn't have the same tools available to it that Warrior does to recover from using your face as a weapon. It's part of the Warrior class, your ability to use your life total as a resource and then recoup that life total through the use of armor and building decks that allow you to do that as a way of removal, because Warrior doesn't inherently have something like a kill command. They don't have Grievous Bite. They don't have Explosive Shot. They don't have Freezing Trap. Their form of crowd control is direct damage to a minion, and even then you've got Execute, which is really Execute and Shield Slam, but using your face to deal with those minions is directly counterintuitive to using Shield Slam. So it requires a balance, and you have to build your deck around that balance. What these cards like Bloodcell Cultists have done is they've stopped requiring Warrior to make that balance. So Fiery War Axe is a symptom, and it's the most visible reason as to why the card is being so hated on. But in reality, it's the supporting cast that's making it more valuable than it really is. It's always been a good card, but it's more valuable than what it really is because of the cards that are augmenting it.
Yeah, one of the biggest arguments I saw on Reddit and a few other Discords, not ours, but other Discord communities, is why would you nerf a card that's auto-include in every single Warrior deck? Well, that's why they nerfed the card, because it's auto-include in every single Warrior deck. It obviously is overpowered to the point that it has to be put in every Warrior deck. So it is something that needs to be addressed. Now, whether this was the right way to do it, that's to be seen. We'll just have to see if this is the right nerf. But if they felt they had to do it for one reason or another, and again, a lot of the reasons that they have to nerf these cards, we may not see because it may be coming out in the next set, which I'm calling it now. It's Dead Mines. Going to be Dead Mines themed, but that's a whole nother discussion. I think this is fine. It's going to change up the meta, and I'm excited to see how it does it.
All right, so now we get into the two nerfs that people say might not have been enough. And we're going to start with Innervate. So Innervate is still 0 mana, but now you gain 1 mana crystal till the end of the turn. So instead of 2 mana, you're getting 1. A lot of people are comparing it, saying, okay, now Druid has a counterfeit coin in the base set. Or, now they just have an extra coin in their hand if they go second. But what are your thoughts on the Innervate change? Zoroshia, we'll start with you.
I'm seeing kind of a pattern in this set of nerfs. They've brought Hex more in line with Polymorph. They brought Fiery War Axe arguably more in line with other 3/2 weapons for 3 mana and other classes. And now they're bringing Innervate in line with Counterfeit Coin from Rogue. I think they've tried to keep a uniqueness in each class, but still keep balance. And they're finding as they add more cards and as they add more mechanics, it's harder to do that. So maybe the basic set, those cards that are similar to each other need to be more brought in line with each other for cost and effectiveness. And I think that's exactly what they did here. I don't think that this is going to kill Druid at all, because a lot of the tools that were used to counter Druids that got things out really quickly also were nerfed, like Fiery War Axe and Hex. So honestly, 1 extra turn for them is 1 extra turn for you. So this kind of all moves parallel. We'll just see how it plays out. I don't think that Innervate will be included in aggro decks anymore, but I think it will still be included in the slower Druids that utilize a gadget and auctioneer for the same reason that counterfeit coin is used in those decks.
Okay. Versika.
So this falls in line with my same complaint that I have with Fiery War Axe, and that is that Innervate by itself is not the problem. The problem is that you have given a class too much of a good thing. And when Innervate was introduced, you had Wild Growth and you had Nourish. Those were your two means of ramp inside of Druid. Once you went through those tools to get there, then you were out of tools. With only Wild Growth and Nourish to ramp you, it took you longer to get it up to 10, which you still got there faster than everybody else, but it was still in a moderate level. Well, now you have Jade Blossom, you have Wild Growth, you have Mire Keeper, you have Nourish, and you have Innervates. You have 5 ways.
And Coon, kind of. I mean...
Yeah, so the problem isn't that Innervate became super strong all of a sudden. The problem is that you've got all these other ramp mechanics built in with it that just piled on top of Innervate and made Innervate more powerful than it should have been. And I don't think that this is really going to affect Druid much. I think you'll see it affect Druid on turn 10. I think you'll see it affect Druid on turn 5. And I think you'll see it affect Druid on turn 8. Outside of those turns, Druid should still function right along the lines that it normally has, because those were the swing turns that allowed you to kind of get more value out of Innervate than what you really needed. So until the set rotates out and Mire Keeper and Jade Blossom are gone, you're still going to have that ramp problem with Druid. So if your aim was to slow down Jade Druid with this, then you did not succeed. Mm-hmm. If your aim was to slow down Taunt Druid with this, then once again, you didn't really succeed. If your goal was to slow down Aggro Druid, you did succeed a little bit, but if I read the explanation behind the nerf correctly, they actually wanted and intended for this to help keep Druids that wanted small casting cost creatures on the board. They didn't want it to affect that. Well, I think it's had the exact opposite effect. I think the other two classes aren't going to feel it as much, and the aggro style Druid is actually going to feel it quite a bit. So for me, I feel like they missed the mark on this. And I think once again, you made the mistake of not balancing based on your basic cards, and as a result, you're now having to nerf one of your basic cards because you couldn't get it right on the expansion.
Yeah, and I just want to throw out there that, Malfurion's the oldest of all the heroes. It's going to take him a little longer to ramp it up to 10. He needs all the help he can get.
Innervate. The Cialis of the set.
All right, so let's...
One thing that, before we move on to the next card, one thing that's very unique that has gotten a little attention is, so far, out of the first 4 cards, it ends up being all 5 of them, all 5 nerf cards. 3 of them are basic cards.
Yes.
Which means by normal...
I'm going to talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah. So, the other card that's been nerfed was Spreading Plague, which is a brand new card out of Frozen Throne, and it went from 5 mana to 6 mana. But nothing changed as far as the ability. It still summons a 1/5 taunt for each minion that for each minion more that your opponent has than you do. So, I think this is fine. I think this is not going to affect its ability to see play. This just kind of brings it probably more in line to where it should have been at launch. The only thing this really affects is the ability to combo it on the same turn, which you could technically still do because there are cards out there that affect casting cost of cards in play. So, I mean, it just depends on how you play it.
It goes back to Innervate affecting turn 5.
Mm-hmm.
This is a turn 5 card that you used in conjunction with Innervate to get other stuff out. Well, now you can't do that because not only can you not cast it on turn 5 without help, now because it's a 6 casting cost, that 6th turn that you now would use the Innervate that gives you 1 extra mana to do anything with, now you can't use it in conjunction with this. So the Innervate nerf and the move from 5 to 6 actually kind of double nerfed the cadence in which you would play this card. So I do think you're going to see it go from a 2-of to a 1-of.
Okay. This kind of brings it more in line with Spike Ridge Steed. For the kind of effectiveness you get, a lot of pro players did the actual math on this and said with most board states, you get about the same amount of value from Spreading Plague as you do from Spike Ridge Steed, but for 1 mana less. And oftentimes you can innervate it out early or have the ramp to get it out earlier than turn 5. So it even made it even more beneficial. So having it 6 makes it about right. With the other nerfs, kind of makes it like a 7 cost, since you really can't utilize Innervate to cheat it out, and you're really relying on something like Wild Growth or Jade Blossoms to get that mana into 6 mana.
Okay, so looking back, as you mentioned a minute ago, 3 of these cards are basic cards: War Axe, Innervate, Hex. When asked about this, Ben Brode actually said that they felt there were too many basic cards being put into decks, that people weren't exploring options because the basic cards were that much better, or they were just used to running them, or whatever. He said that he feels 10-ish basic class cards per deck is about right, and that's the way they're building sets, is off of these models. He says right now the meta is way above that, and he thinks it should be a little closer to 10. He also goes on to state that keeping basic and classic cards around with no changes was never the plan from the inception of the game. He says, we launched rotation with 12 nerfs specifically because we knew we couldn't just have an evergreen set as is. There's value in having evergreen sets, but there's a balance to it. Our Hall of Fame system is similar in some ways to a rotating core set that you might see in other games. So, with that...
I like that. I really like that statement. And to be honest, and I know this probably won't be a popular stance, but it's really good marketing, because you don't want players to come in brand new, get their packs from their basic cards and maybe some standard packs from learning the game, and then look up online and see, oh, that's all the cards I need. Great, I'll just keep playing and I'll never buy packs and I'll never grind. That's not what you want from a business model. You don't want your players to be satisfied with what they got out of the first couple months of the game and never purchase any more cards. You have to remember, Blizzard and Team 5, it's a business. Their goal is to make quality product, come out with new sets, new cards you want to play with, other than the original basic set you were pretty much given for playing the game, and sell packs. That's their goal, is to make money. At the same time, they want to make it enjoyable for their players and their fans of Blizzard games. And I don't think that's a problem at all.
Okay. Rasika?
I like some of what he said, and then I very much disagree with another part of what he said. But he's a company guy, so he's going to toe the line, and I get it. But if people are preferring to play their basic cards over the expansion cards that you have brought out, that tells me that there's a problem with the imagination in your expansion. It tells me that you have not looked and evaluated the state of the game in a manner that has allowed you to create cards to feel good or powerful enough, or have the type of synergy needed to make someone want to play that instead of a basic card. So I realized that a certain amount of cards need to be junk in a set, filler cards, if you will. Then there needs to be a certain amount of average cards. There need to be a certain amount of good cards, and there needs to be a couple of great cards. I get it. I understand how an expansion works. You and I, you guys have played Magic. We know how an expansion works. But one thing that Magic always did well was that they gave each expansion had new and exciting cards, and those cards, even the below average cards could find a spot in the meta. Hearthstone, that doesn't happen. I would say out of each expansion, within 2 weeks, 25% of the cards have risen to the top, and the other 75% have gone by the wayside because they're just not exciting enough or viable enough in the meta to take the place of those other cards. So, I mean, if anyone wants to come on, I guess I'll call Blizzard out here. If anyone wants to come on from Blizzard and explain to me why I'm wrong on that, I'd be more than happy to have that discussion. But until I see cards that come out that make me want to play them instead of... A great example of that is Devolve. There's a reason Devolve replaced Hex in a lot of decks.
Yeah.
I mean, not every card can be a Devolve, but if you're doing 3 expansions a year, you're telling me out of those 3 expansions a year, you can't come up with enough new and exciting or new and inspiring cards to get people to forget about a few of these cards you saw have a bunch of play the last year. That tells me that your design team's not paying enough attention to what's really going on and more in what they want to do. There needs to be a balance of what you want to do versus what's really going on.
I both agree and disagree. It's really hard for their balance team to get, and their creative design team to get it 100% right when a lot of your streamers and pro players kind of dictate what's popular, what gets played. I know when Devolve first came out, a lot of people didn't like the card. A lot of people were saying it was, I know you were, Versika, but I'm saying a majority of other players weren't big fans of Devolve. I played in THL at the time, and I played a deck that used Devolves instead of Hexes, and my team was like, you're watering down your deck with bad cards. You're still giving them value. It's not enough loss of value to be worth it. Well, I tore through THL during that season with Devolve, and then all of a sudden I started seeing Devolve get played more and more. And I don't think that it was intended for Devolve to be as popular and as strong as it was. It was the players' creativity that decided that. And I know they brought on some really good players like Reels and Kit Kats to kind of foster that and kind of mimic that, but it's hard to do that in a closed environment that Blizzard does in their testing before it comes out live, when the streamers will literally go 48 to 72 hours straight just breaking some of these cards that were not deemed as strong, powerful cards, and then other strong, powerful cards that everybody was like, oh, this is going to be broken. They find a way to counter it, and then they aren't as strong as they thought they were going to be.
Okay, so I'm going to bring up one real quick point because I know we have to move on because we're actually playing a really slow deck tonight. All right, but this point is we did Green's Tavern. Mm-hmm. We played pre-constructed decks, and these pre-constructed decks were made mostly from cards from Knights of the Frozen Throne.
Yes.
Do you remember everyone, you included, everyone's reaction when you had to play Shaman? Now tell me that a design team sat down behind a desk and took what was actually happening in the meta and took that into account when they designed those cards. Because if you tell me that, I'm going to tell you that you're crazy. Because they had an idea that they wanted to do.
What I'm saying is not that they took everything into account. They took as much as they could into account. They're not perfect.
You really believe that?
Well, here's the thing. Nobody liked playing that Shaman deck.
But they liked playing the Priest deck even less.
It was arguably, next to Priest, the worst deck of the classes. Now, my argument is there's always a worse deck. So, I mean, that's neither here nor there. But
they nerfed a classic card.
But
because
2 separate occasions I almost lost to that shaman, and on 2 separate occasions I won with that shaman deck. So I don't think it was as bad as everybody thought it was. You just had to think outside the box to play it well.
Right, but it was in a controlled environment and not to the Frozen Throne.
That's
Take
true.
that deck on the ladder and it's going to get wrecked every single time. Half of those decks, though, you could take out on the ladder right now, and you could play them and probably get close to a 50% win rate. I would say 3 of those decks you couldn't. Priest, Shaman, and I would argue that Warlock deck was
but
pretty
we don't
sketchy.
know. In the testing on Blizzard's side, maybe they just got really lucky with the deck, and it looked as if it was just really good, and their testing didn't bear enough fruit to show like it did at a real Fireside Gathering. And I don't think they're doing it on purpose. I think they sometimes you just miss the mark. Sometimes your fastball is a little low and it gets knocked out the park.
I'm not saying that they're doing it on purpose. I'm saying that they're saying that we are just comfortable with the cards that we have, and that they're having to make these changes to get us to look at these new cards they're bringing out instead of making the new cards more in line with this and taking into account these.
That argument, I think it's one of those things that argument makes sense before you say it out loud, but when you say it out loud, it just doesn't have the gusto it did when you were thinking of it. So I don't think they're entirely wrong about that train of thought, that logic, but the way they delivered it and they said it, I don't agree with. You're right.
Well, I'm going to say you're a Paladin player at heart.
I am.
And you're very happy with the way this expansion turned out because Paladin addressed the meta accidentally, in my opinion, but it addressed the meta in a way that made 3 classes viable. It's the only 3 archetype class out there besides Druid. Just saying. Coming from someone who plays a class like Shaman, I see Hex getting buffed when Shaman got a kick in the balls over here when Knights of the Frozen Throne came out.
All right. Yeah. All right. I'm going to cut us off there. We're going to move on to the next topic, which is this past weekend was EU Summer Playoffs. This was the first time we got to really see Knights of the Frozen Throne in a tournament environment. Yeah. And our top 8 EU players ended up being Pavel, and I'm probably going to butcher this guy's name, but it's Amix. Okay, Amix. Then we had Nick Slay, who is a standard. We had Denim Blue, Old Boy, Orange, Ronnie, and Hunter Ace. Now, before anybody gets excited, it wasn't Ronnie from Hearth Coach. Don't go getting excited. Yes, but no, but it was a great tournament. Our top 4 going to Summer Championships are Pavel, Old Boy, Amix, and Orange. And, of course, our EU Summer champion, as if anybody was surprised, is Pavel. And not only was he the champion, but he dominated that tournament.
Yes.
So
he didn't look like he even tried. He impressed me so much.
I'll say I know we all watched it
too much, but one thing I want to point out: Summer Championships are coming up, and we had Winter Championships in Bahamas. We had Spring Championships in Shanghai. Do you think they broke the bank and they're out of funds because they're doing this in LA? They're like, we got no more money.
I don't have any insider information, so I don't know. I just know they are doing it in Southern California. So, Versika, what were your thoughts?
I'm just saying, for a lot of people outside the United States, LA is actually just as exotic to them as us going to Shanghai. So,
I agree. I say that in jest, but honestly, the EU and the APAC players, and of course the China players, are really going to enjoy coming to the United States. And I think it's good that they're doing one of these in the United States.
I actually agree with Ducharmo. I think having it in Vegas would be awesome.
Yeah, but you have a lot of underage players, so that might cause a problem.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that. Also, this past weekend, more important than the EU Summer Playoffs.
That's right.
Was the 1600 Dust Open number 4 tournament, which was 16 players, including 2 members of this podcast.
That's right.
So
that's right. And big shout out to Ferris Biscuit. He holds these tournaments with 1600 Dust. I talked to him afterwards and told him anytime he wants to pimp any of his tournaments, we'll gladly do that for him on our show. So expect some news about the next 1600 Dust Open to be announced on Hero Power. Ferris Biscuit does a great job, very professional. He makes sure it's very clean. It was a holiday weekend, so we had a lot of people drop out mid-tournament because of different things with their personal life, and that kind of happens sometimes. But I hope next time we can have a pretty good turnout to help support that. Now, the winner of now not the best, not necessarily the best player. No, just kidding. The winner of the tournament was Risen,
and he was undefeated the whole time. He never lost a match.
That's not true. He did lose a match.
Okay,
but he lost it in the finals because he went 5-0 in Swiss and went on to day 2, and he tore through the double elimination bracket to make it to the grand finals, and then he had to play against someone from the losers bracket, and he only had to win one set, but the loser, the champion out of the losers bracket, had
some guy ridiculous
sets.
hat nose from Twitter.
Well, I don't know. That guy that he played was really good.
I heard he was just okay.
Yeah, okay. It was me, all right? I made it to the grand finals of the 1600 Dust Open against Risen. I did take he beat me in the winner's bracket, and then in the finals, I took the first set, I believe it was 3-1, and then he beat me the second set. And to be honest, and we talked about this afterwards, it came down to queue order. Our decks were really lined up really well with each other. And I will say he was the better player. But he did mention that he really felt that queue order was important, and he really locked it down with the queue order in the second set. So the only blemish was by me, but he did end up winning the tournament. It was a lot of fun. I actually had to play Ziggy Sarah 3 separate times, and they were some of the best matches. One of them went to 5 games. She got me all the way down to 1 health on my mage, and I was able to crawl back out of the cellar and defeat her pirate warrior.
Yeah.
Avanti's actually did really well and made it into day 2 as well, and competed and did pretty far through the losers bracket.
I finished 4th
by Ziggy.
Yeah, I got knocked out by Ziggy. I finished 4th, and then she went on to lose to you.
The 3rd.
And then so it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah, well, it was tons of fun. Definitely. Speaking of tons of fun, this weekend on the 9th, which is Saturday, is the Hero Power Patron Tournament. So we've sent out a notice out to our patrons via Discord, Facebook, and I think a patron message. I'm not sure. Well, we sent out emails and whatnot to everybody to go ahead and get their deck submissions in. We did have a question if the nerfs happened before the tournament, if they would be able to change last minute. And yes, but it looks like it's not going to happen.
I have confirmation it will not happen before this weekend.
But if you have registered on Battlefy, you have to pick your classes. You can change that up to an hour before the tournament because they don't actually get published until check-in time. So if you need any last-minute changes, feel free to go to Battlefy and make those changes.
But if you are, I would like, if at all possible, please try to have your deck list submitted by Friday. So.
Oh, yes. So the cutoff for us is going to be Friday at midnight?
Yep.
Okay, Friday at midnight, cutoff for deck submissions. And then Sunday,
September
10th, the Hearth Coach Patron Tournament, which was scheduled previously, had been rescheduled to the 10th. If you are a patron of Hearth Coach, that tournament is on Sunday, the day after our tournament.
Okay. Well, that
Tavern
brings
Brawl,
us...
Eagle Exchange, it's
Yep.
KT versus Rafam. It's a repeat.
It's a repeat, yep.
Yep.
So that brings us to this week's deck list. And as we talked about, it is new meta, as you can say. This was one of the decks Pavel used to take the EU Championship. And it's funny because I've known this deck as Razakus Priest for at least a month now. And last week on Coin Concede, they were talking about this deck, and half of the hosts had never heard the term Razakus Priest, which I thought was really funny. But this deck is a lot of fun. It is a very control-y deck, but I'm going to run down the deck list real quick. It is a Highlander / Singleton deck, so there's only one copy of each card. And then I'm going to let Versika briefly talk about it since he's been playing it and he's going to be driving it tonight. So the deck is Silence, Holy Smot, Northshire Cleric, Pint-Sized Potion, Potion of Madness, Power Word Shield, Blood Mage Thalnos, Doomsayer, Loot Hoarder, Radiant Elemental, Shadow Visions, Shadow Word Pain, Spirit Lash, Acolyte of Pain, Curious Glimmerroot, Gluttonous Ooze, Cabal Courier, Shadow Word Death, Greater Healing Potion, Kazakus, Priest of the Feast, Shadow Word Horror, Holy Nova, Cabal Song Stealer, Lyra the Sunshard, Raza the Chained, Cabal Shadow Priest, Dragonfire Potion, Prophet Valen, and Shadow Reaper Anduin. So Versika, tell us a little bit about how the deck plays.
Okay, so this, I'll go ahead and do our disclaimer now. This is a tournament deck. We're playing it because this is what Pavel played in the tournament, and in this tournament, he had a strategy to ban Druid. So I will go ahead and say right now, if you plan on playing this on ladder, then you need to find a way to put Geist in here, or you are going to get dominated. So just a heads up, we're playing this list true to how Pavel played it. So if we run up against Jade Druid, it is going to be a very rough go. This is all about setting up for what you want it to do. The deck is draw dependent, so you need to cycle through as many cards as you can and be aware of your matchups. Know when to cast Shadow Visions when you're playing a Hunter versus when you're going to cast Shadow Visions playing a Rogue versus when you're going to play versus a Token Druid. There's no set time or I guess set of combo along the way that you just set in stone and say, I'm going to do this turn 2, I'm going to do this turn 4. It's a constant read and adapt deck, and because there isn't a great deal of healing in the deck, like the previous Highlander Priest with Reno Jackson, you have to be very careful about when you use your Greater Healing Potion and when you use your Priest of the Feast, because those end up being how you stay alive. The deck requires Raza, and it requires Shadow Reaper Anduin. That is your kill mechanic. I have actually killed people without one of those two cards, but I've never taken out an opponent without at least one of those two cards being in play. Prophet Velen was a card that some people brought and some people didn't. Pavel brought it. The decks that had Prophet Velen in it over the weekend tended to have a higher win percentage than those without Prophet Velen. So if you're going to play this deck, I would highly recommend, if you don't have Prophet Velen and you want to play this deck, that you craft Prophet Velen. There is a list out there that doesn't have Prophet Velen in it. It runs a little bit differently. I did find it and watch a few YouTube videos of it being played. It's viable. It's just, in my opinion, not as strong. But if you're going to play this on ladder, I highly recommend taking out Cabal Shadow Priest and putting in Skull King Geist. If not, you're going to have a hard time.
Well, there you go.
One thing I wanted to say about this deck is I've played against it quite a bit on the ladder, and if you do run Skulking Geist in your deck, you will get pretty good value out of this. The most importantly is getting rid of the Holy Smite, because the Holy Smite equates to a lot of damage with Prophet Velen out. If they're able to use their hero power, then they Velen into the hero power again, into Holy Smite, into the hero power again. That's 8, 10, 14 damage right there in one turn. And that's just really debilitating. So Skulking Geist is a decent tech in here against it. And if you do put Skulking Geist in, you want to make sure to use your 1-mana spells before you lay that out, if you have a chance to.
All right, there you go, guys. Well, let's jump right into this because we have run a little long. Like I said, we had a lot to talk about, and this is a control deck. So we're going to skip our last thoughts this week. If you are joining us on Twitch or YouTube, please stay tuned for the live play portion of our show. If you are listening via our audio podcast, we'd like to thank you for joining us. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at HeroPower_cast. Find all of our past episodes on YouTube at youtube.com/ECMMOGamers or on our website at HeroPowerHS.com. If you enjoy the show, you'd like to help support and improve it, you can do that by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/HeroPower. And we'll see you again next week.
And don't forget to use your hero power again and again and again.
All right. That played well.
You like that?
Yeah, that was good. That was good. All right. So, real quick, while we're getting set up, give us a good, quick Viforce ad, and then we'll move right into gameplay.
If you're looking to get a custom computer, I told you go ahead and go to ViforceGaming.com and get your quote today. But if you go there and click on their signature computers, they have a wide selection of computers that could fit your needs. It tells you what games it'll play. Also, you can mix up the parts. If you like the parts from the Vector and the Momentum, you can swap them back and forth or upgrade some of the systems. Just go over there and get your quote, send them a message, and don't forget about their 6 months zero finance,
Same as cash.
zero same as cash finance. And yeah, get your computer at ViforceGaming.com or go to HeroPowerHS.com, click on the Viforce link.
All right. Well, whenever you have an opponent for Secret.
I'm already in.
All right.
He's on the ball. He's already in turn 6. What are we talking about?
So Prophet Velen, Blood Mage Thanos, Acolyte of Pain on the draw. Don't have the coin, so I'm actually going to toss it all back.
Yep, that sounds good. Matt at Arms in chat says Kazakus in this deck is like pants, completely optional.
All right, so we drew into Doomsayer, Shadow Visions, and Radiant Elemental. We're playing against Warlock. Zoo Warlock is virtually non-existent on the ladder. This is going to be that Death Knight Gul'dan lock would be my
Demon lock.
Demon
Yeah.
lock. There is nothing that we could play on turn 1 anyway. But in just looking at our hands, there's nothing really right now I see that we're going to play on turn 2 either.
Ooh, there's Raza. That's good to see.
That's good to have. Yeah, you want to get him out early.
Of the games that I saw this lose this weekend, it was when Raza and or Shadow Reaver were in the bottom 5 cards.
Yep.
What, no heal the opponent's face? What's going on? Is this a priest deck?
All right, there's his own courier.
Ooh, which Cabal Courier usually signifies a Highlander deck of their own.
There is a Razakus Priest out there.
That's kind of interesting.
So we don't really
we
have
could-
anything else. I mean, you want to hold the Radiant Elemental for later, right?
Correct. And Doomsayer, not yet. You want to get it. You want to get it before they have a chance to Siphon Soul. And since he's got the coin, he's already used it. So as long as we use it on turn 4, so we still have another turn technically that we can use it. Silence. We still got 7 cards in our hand. Still no reason to use it right away, so I say heal the face and pass the turn if you guys are good with that.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right. This will be the turn that we put down.
Ooh. Yeah, the tech in here makes me think this is a Highlander deck. Oh,
And
wow.
there's the Anduin.
Now, I know you say this is probably a Doomsayer turn, but what would hurt us for putting Raza out now? Because if he can't Siphon Soul, he has to pretty much trade his whole board, right?
Right, but if we don't Doomsayer now, then my bet is Doomsayer will get 0 value from it. As long as we're content with it being a dead card in our hand.
Well,
I mean, we could use it to activate Shadow Reaver Anduin later.
I don't.
but-
Yeah, I don't know if it's a dead card so much as it will absorb a removal or it will absorb 7 points of damage.
I mean, we can put Raza out.
I like Raza here. That's just me though, but you're driving.
All right, so what do you think, Avantes? You'll be the tiebreaker.
I say go with the Doomsayer.
All right.
That's what I would do.
And
Heal
I'll
face.
heal. Yeah. I was thinking about maybe Shadow Visions there for a second, because we've already got Dragonfire Potion and Holy Nova.
Yeah.
Second Shadow Word Horror would be nice. Maybe fish for that.
That's actually a good eat. He had to use a Frostbolt and some trades.
So what do you think about Glimmer Root into Shadow Visions?
What are we Shadow Visions for?
Shadow Word Horror.
Shadow Word Horror? Okay. I think if we're going to do that, we Shadow Visions first to see if we get it.
Okay.
And then if we don't, we can Glimmer Root.
All right, so
What do you
Spirit
think about?
Lash.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do you think about chaining Spirit Lash with Holy Nova?
Next turn, yeah.
that's kind of what I'm thinking.
And then we can Glimmer Root this turn.
Yeah.
Maybe
Glimmer
get
Root.
some more removal. I think it has to be a
I'm going to
Jiraxis.
say Jiraxis.
I think it has to be Jiraxis.
Yeah. I'm very confident this is also a Highlander deck.
Jiraxis doesn't help us at all, though.
No, but it identifies something, and
Well, actually, no, wait, because you can Jiraxis and then Shadow Reaver Anduin.
Yes, you absolutely
back
I
can.
still have
Sorry.
the weapon.
So technically, it could be a 15-point heal. Or 14-point heal.
There's the
Shadow-
horror. Doesn't do much for the Tar Lurker, but
I can silence it and do that.
That's true.
you can. That's a good call. I like that. Is that
To
the
relieve
play?
some of the board pressure, I think.
Yeah. I like that. We haven't gotten too much out of his hand, though. I was hoping he'd try to be a little more greedy.
Top decking is winning.
But
Yep.
I think he'll use it to clear Raza.
I think so too.
So if
What
he
do you-
uses it to clear Raza, we bait into board clear.
So
That's-
what do you before? I was gonna say, what do you
Before
think?
we commit
Yeah.
to that, do we think though? Do we get punished if he chooses the Siphon Soul that though?
I don't think so.
No, we
Because-
just take 6 damage, right?
Well, we take 6 damage, and next turn we end up just using Shadow Reaver anyway.
Yeah,
Shadow Reaper anyway.
right.
That's true.
I was gonna say, what would you have thought about using your hero power, then playing Raza and healing again.
Because he doesn't reset.
He doesn't reset it.
Oh,
He just
okay.
changes it to 0.
Yep.
Gotcha.
I've actually made that mistake before, thinking it did it. So this looks like a good Dragonfire, unless we
That's
want
what
to go ahead and Shadow Reaver.
I'm thinking Dragonfire works well here too.
So what demons has he put out? Just the Abyssal Enforcer so far. Yeah, I like the Dragonfire here. And we know he has Jiraxis, so we'll get ooze value.
Now there is a 4/5 demon that deals 1 damage to all your opponent's minions every turn.
Yes.
He's going to be a pain to deal with.
Yes.
I guess we'll just have to.
I think we
Because
can. We'll be able to hero power it down with Anduin.
I'm just wondering, because we're only taking 4 damage on the other side. If we Shadow Word Pain here, it's save Dragonfire for that. I think that puts.
Do we
us
want
in
to
that-
just Anduin here then to get rid of the 6?
Let's do that.
Okay. Rope. We won't get the second one in, I don't think.
It's all right.
Get damage in.
No, it's all right.
Okay, it's fine.
The heal was more important to me.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And there's Cruel.
Cool. Oh, don't be cool. Ooh. So Dragonfire Potion followed by Spirit Lash still leaves us Cruel and Jiraxis out, which now we're not going to get ooze value because Jiraxis hit the board.
Right.
Actually, that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We could kill Cruel with our hero power.
We could.
What do you think about Kazakus' turn?
We'll be taking a lot of damage.
But we're not dead on board, right?
No, we're not.
We still have Spirit Lash next turn.
I mean,
we
it's 22
still-
on board. It's a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go for it. You got to do it now if you're going to do it.
I will just do this.
Yep, Dragonfire. Oh, your Holy Nova?
Yeah, I see that line.
Oh,
I don't know if you
okay.
got it all in. He was fitting in the Shadow or Death. I didn't go through. It's all right.
Yeah, I was trying.
It was a good line though. I liked it. We could have pinged off the Dark Reaper 2, but that's fine. This is a complicated deck to think through with 3 people. Well, maybe we lucked out not Shadow or Painting. Shadow or Deathing, I mean.
Feel like that had to happen, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Your line was better than mine.
And now Kazakus?
Yeah.
For 10 or for 5?
I'd say we do a 10.
Do we try to get the polymorph because of Gul'dan?
Yep.
Transform all minions. Yep.
So we got the transform all into 1/1 sheeps and draw 3.
Yep.
Our hand size, I like that. And we got the greater healing potion, which, if you remember me saying that the Highlander priest was going to stay alive because greater healing potion was going to replace Reno.
So, we got Gluttonous Ooze value after all.
Oh wow!
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, we
he
do.
did off Frostborn, and he's not going to get any minions out of it at all because
Well-
he didn't kill anything. Did?
Yes, he killed
Yeah, he did.
our
He got
Kazakus.
Oh, that's right. He killed our Kazakus. That's right. We're really going for the face. I like that. We could probably fit. We could fit 2 more in. We want to save those.
Uh,
Are we going to get Cabal
break
Shadow
it.
Priest value at all?
Maybe.
I don't think so.
I don't know. It depends on
We
what he
can
has
just
left.
Priest and get another shot.
It just gives him something he's got to clear.
Mm-hmm.
He has to Gul'dan this turn.
That would be really good for us if he Gul'dan this turn.
Yep. Really, he's not going to... Well, I guess he'll get a few demons. He'll want to kill off Jiraxxus before he Gul'dans, but he won't have a chance to, I don't think.
There it is.
Gul'dan.
There he is.
So Hero Power Kazakus Potion, not going to us overdraw. That's good.
Attack for...
Yeah.
Attack, Hero Power, Kazakus Potion.
And then Hero Power.
Yep.
So I think it's a nail in the coffin. I mean, his Hero Power is going to help him sustain. But I think we'll outpace him. Oh, a low-cost minion. That's good. The Prophet Velen. That's 2 damage, 4 damage. That's 6 damage just from Prophet Velen. Plus Radiant Elemental. 10 damage. I think we got him.
I think so too.
We could get a low-cost spell. Silence.
But he made a mistake by not using the Reaper on. Like if he had.
There it is.
That's it.
There it
That's
is.
people.
Yeah.
So Hero Power face.
Velen, Hero Power.
Power.
Holy
we can-
Smite. Yeah.
Radiant Elemental. Hero Power. Holy Smite.
They
Machine
call
Gun
it.
Harry,
They
you know.
call him Machine Gun Anduin for a reason.
That's right.
Oh.
So with this deck, that now makes me 14-2 against non-druids.
Nice.
Against druids, I am 1-16.
As Matt at Arms in chat says, don't forget to use your hero power for sure with this deck.
Again and again and again. Anduin is the poster child for the Hero Power podcast.
All right.
So we might need the Holy Smite for early removal.
Because we are
Well-
playing a hunter, so.
Yep.
I like just ditching the Radiant Elemental, but there's merit to keeping it too.
Well, if I keep Holy Smite, there are times when I'm going to convince myself it's better to use than just my hero power.
Mm-hmm.
And as we saw in last game, it pairs really well with Prophet Villain. It also pairs really well with Lyra.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually thinking probably throw back Holy Smite and Radiant Elemental and only keep Shadow Word Pain.
That's fair.
I could get behind that.
Pain might do the same thing against Hunter, pretty much.
Just to keep myself from being...
Yeah. Matt at Arms.
to use it. And actually, we were... and we draw Holy Smite again.
It wants to be with us.
Matt at Arms says, imagine if Inspire was still a thing in this set.
Oh, I'm sure Matt at Arms will tell us how wonderful it is in Wild. He just gave us a free card draw.
Yes, he did.
I'd get ready to say, this is a no-brainer, right?
That is an
Yeah,
absolute
We
no-brainer.
have to clear that. We can't leave a minion on the board for turn 2, not against...
Oh, he's coining into Animal Companion.
Shadow Word Pain?
I think that's a
Absolutely.
perfect Shadow Word Pain target. Yep.
But first,
Yeah. Always Power Word Shield first. Draw first. Fred. Tell him to go first. No Hearth Coach fouls here.
Matt at Arms says this deck is dominating in Wild.
Ooh, wow, we're gonna get some Spirit Lash value.
Mm-hmm. And see, this is one of those. This is one of those where I'm tempted to use Holy Smite, and I shouldn't be.
I would wait because even if he increases the value of it, to get more rats, that's more healing. So I would
courier.
I'm either going to courier or Glimmer Roof. What do you think?
I like courier because it encourages him to clear the courier with the rat, setting up for Spirit Lash.
Oh!
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah, Kazakus number 2.
Double Kazakus value. And he might buff up the rat, which is fine. Ooh, hyena. Ooh, double hyena. That's a little messy. So, what do you think?
Kazakus and see what we get off of 5.
We could do the 4 clear, but we won't be able to pair it with Spirit Lash next turn. Or will we? There goes a 4-1. No, still won't. Not with Radiant Elemental either.
I mean, you could Holy Smite, run the Cleric in to clear one of them.
Yeah, but
it
then
just
it
makes
buffs
the other one huge.
The other one bigger. I think we still need the Kazakus.
I think so too.
Maybe for freeze or polymorph.
Matt at Arms says Kazi for 1, but
I'd 4.
Yep.
And freeze 2. That looks good.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's about as good as we're gonna get. Yeah. Clear, make him clear. He might knock things down low enough that we can get some better value. And that's. Oof. So
we can kill all but one of them.
Yeah, we're gonna clear.
Actually, we can clear. Yeah, we. Because if you Holy Smite the 9/5 before you cast the Kazakus potion, it'll clear everything but the 1/1s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whew. That could have been a lot worse than it was. And then next turn we'll get heal value off the 1/1.
Right, from Spirit Lash.
Yep.
Almost seems like we're gonna couple in a Doomsayer and with it next turn.
Yeah, we'll definitely Doomsayer now.
I mean, he'll have charges. He can clear it better, but at least it's armor.
What do you think about Raza and Doomsayer? It forces him into a decision. Does he leave Raza alive and clear the Doomsayer, or does he let the Doomsayer clear the board for him?
That's a solid point, and I don't think he has 17.
Yep, I like that.
I like it too. Raza gets its value from just being its battle cry, so. Not a fan of the golden animation on Tundra right now because it makes it look like he has Wind Fury. Ooh. Ooh. Gonna have his cake and eat it too.
Yeah, he is.
It's pretty brutal.
That's pretty wicked. This. That's helpful.
Glimmer Root first.
I'd Glimmer Root first because it won't get killed by the Shadow Word Horror.
Animal Companion.
And well, we've seen Animal Companion. At least we know he doesn't have Stitch Tracker or Hunter's Mark in his deck.
Now,
All right.
Shadow Word.
I think we have to Shadow Word Horror.
Yeah.
Question is, do we go ahead and run it? Oh, never mind. We just cast it.
Yeah.
Animal Companion might actually save us from a lot of damage if we can get Misha.
Or Huffer.
Huffer wouldn't be bad because with Spirit Lash it'll clear the Hydra and develop a. Dude, that's bad.
Oh, that's bad, yeah. This guy's getting all the cards.
Yeah, we got an Animal Companion.
Not good.
Actually, this does help us a little bit.
A little.
Spirit Lash.
And then we can clear the 1/1s with each other.
Nope.
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 Oh yeah, it's 2/2. It's 2 attack. Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
So we cleared 9
Yeah,
damage
yeah.
off the board.
Whew. You Dragonfire Potion
Yeah. We're pretty much on Dragon Fire Potion
or
Shadow.
Shadow Visions or Dragonfire Potion.
Yeah.
The Dragonfire Potion. One time.
Greater Healing stalls it out a little bit.
Does
It does
it?
help a little bit.
We'll have to clear the 3/2.
Yeah.
We can't afford to clear the 2/2. Wait, are you healing Leok? Really?
Well, I'm going to heal for 12.
But is that going to be 8, 9, 10? He's got 12 on the board.
Right, so it'll just put us right back to
14.
6.
Yeah.
14 with hero power. So yeah, he'll have to find 4 damage. So
Yeah.
kill command would
Or-
get us.
You do this.
Yeah,
Oh,
there you
okay,
go.
now that's better. That's better. Because that keeps us out of kill command range.
Heal yourself and then heal yourself.
Do we just flood the minions on the board just to build presence?
I
I think we have to.
think you have to. Yep, I
Yeah.
agree.
This is going to force him to deal with Leok.
Yeah. Eight, 9, 10, 11, 12. He's showing 14
He's counting it.
hero power. So he needs 6, which is, if he has kill command, then we would have been dead if we didn't heal our face. Does he value kill command?
Would like to think that if he had kill command, he would have used it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
He does have kill command.
Ooh, I hate it when I'm right.
Oh, Shadow
Oh,
Visions.
oh. When I'm out of it-
Dragonfire.
Yes. Run the 2, 3
Run the 2, 3 in first. Yep, there you go. Clear the board and heal.
Now we're healing for his hero power every turn for 0 mana. That is astounding.
And we're both top decking.
Let the top decking begin.
We won't be able to match that, though.
No.
No, but we're not dead unless he draws something. Or Kazakus for armor?
Summon a 5/5. Draw 2 cards.
Draw 2. Something. That's helpful.
Actually, it's helpful.
Yeah. Holy
I
Nova,
mean, if he
even if
drew
it's just a
kill
heal or
command,
something.
then we're dead.
Right.
But he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
And that's
Oh wow, Holy Nova value.
perfect
Yep.
target for Holy Nova,
Yep. We'll go to our face.
which kills his
Holy Nova
weapon.
put us at 5.
Hold on to that.
Still dead to the second kill command.
No, not if he doesn't have a beast.
Oh
We're
wait,
not.
heal the face. That's right.
Oh,
That's
well,
right.
no, yeah.
Forgot about heal the
Yeah.
face.
Yeah, he would almost
Thought
have
we were at
to.
5.
He would almost have.
Oh, and he dropped the second. I hit him with a right. At least we know he
GG.
has some more kill commands. Oh, and he's dead. Whew, that was a tough game. Good though.
GG.
Heal his cheats, Mork.
He's just
Now
like,
he's hoping that
dang
we're
it.
like it. He's hoping Irma knocks out our internet.
Nah, he left.
He's upstairs asking his grandma if there's any Yoo-hoo left, having her make a hot pocket.
can I get a hot
Wait.
pocket?
The way he was dragging stuff, I think he was on mobile. I think he just exited the app.
Or his iPhone is in the Boston Harbor. Just
But normally,
check the
when you
phone.
don't see them mouse over cards very often,
It's because they're swiping, yeah.
Speaking of tea in the Boston Harbor, anybody ever seen Versika get teabagged? Because look what I found while unpacking this week. Oh, I'll save that for another time.
Oh, gotta do our drawing. We'll have to do that next week.
Yeah, we'll do the drawing next week.
Versika even reminded us. Forgot. Busy show. Yeah, Man at Arm, you're right. He should have held on to Alley Cat because he would have had lethal if he held on to Alley Cat
Yeah.
because he would have drawn into Kill Command.
All
That
right.
is a-
It's a lot. That deck's a lot of fun, guys. Get out there, play with it some. It's like Versika said. Just hope you don't run into Druid. So, all right. If you have any questions or comments about the show, please email us at heropowerpodcast@gmail.com. Do us a favor if you haven't done so already and hit that subscribe button on YouTube or give us a follow on Twitch to be alerted when we go live. And for more information on our Patreon, you can find that at patreon.com/heropower. Until next week.
I'm
Good.
going to interrupt you. With all the storms in Texas and coming on the southeast, everybody that lives in the southeast and in Texas, be safe. We're seeing lots of horror stories of people having issues with their cars flooding and not evacuating when they should. If you're in a storm area for Irma, please evacuate and be safe this week.
I want to reiterate that if you're in an evacuation zone, please heed the evacuation warnings. Please get out of there.
Okay. I want to say,
I've never seen anything like Irma.
yeah, it's
I'm an
huge.
amateur weather enthusiast. I've been tracking big storms my entire life. I've never seen anything like Irma.
I'm going to bring it back to Hearthstone and say if you're competing in the Tavern v Tavern this weekend, good luck to everyone competing. All right. We'll see you next week. Good gaming.